Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And if you're looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 8 of Feeling the Way. And of course, it snowed, and this is going to be as I left Toronto. If not, well, this is going to be a different paragraph. If not for the meeting with the McDonald elder, I'd have found a hotel and a club and partied. Some of the clubs in Toronto have great reviews, but I got the sense they wanted me. I tend to go with they in general just to avoid genderizing, but one, Wyatt knows this is a guy, so. But I got the sense he wanted me out of his city. And while he could have done that to refer to the family, he was dealing with the elder directly. So yeah, out of his city, and I didn't have the protection an elder got. My family was feared, but accidents happened. Common sense and me are on better terms than the rest of my family. The forecast showed the snow would hang around, but the roads were clear. I figured I'd drive as far as I could and park. The projective algorithm said London was a likely option, with Windsor if being snowed in by the time I'd reach it. I relaxed once I crossed out of the Milton sector, which marked the end of Toronto, but immediately went back on my guard on noticing the sporty car passing me with the heavy-duty winter tires. Albert's gift gives us greater greater than average eyesight and a knack for noticing details, like the difference between these tires and regular winter tires, the 3 centimeter traction spike in the thread, which were ripping the wheel well, on top of ensuring the car wouldn't skid out of control. Only people planning on doing some serious risky winter driving put those on, and they didn't put them on a $40,000 car not designed for them. Those were for people who wanted serious speed. Put put the two together and the result meant trouble, especially when he added two other cars like this one catching up to us. I glanced at the driver, a bulldog, not a squirrel, but it meant little. The grin he gave me added to the trouble equation. Time to make use of magic and precision engineering. I set the brakes on hard. I have 3 years working at Royal Security, with which Arnold runs. As part of that, the 2064 NASCAR champion Isabel Kaglar taught me and everyone else working there aggressive driving. For those of you who don't know, before she won her first championship, she was a stunt driver for the Dead End Drive franchise. If you've seen any of the DED movies, you know the kind of moves I can pull. But Wyatt, I can hear you say, you're on a bike, not a car. That's where Adam's gifts comes into play. My dad's a driver. His magic puts even Miss Kaglar to shame. But he isn't what you'd call a good teacher. Hence why Arnold doesn't get him doesn't get let him let him teach the man at Royal. But I have one of the highest ratio of his gifts among my family, and since I am not a fan of car, I learned I can do something I call translation. I can take the stuff I learned in a car and with some practice apply it to other kind of vehicle, like a bike. What it mainly means is that I didn't have to relearn how to do stunt driving on my bike. So as my bike went from 110 down to 50, engineering kept the wheels from locking up, Magic kept me from skidding out of control, and unlike the car behind me, who slammed on the brakes and turned to try to avoid me, skidding into a spin in spite of the spiked wheels, my back wheel went in the air, came down on its hood as it spun, bounced back, and on the road. I sped up. One of the following car got caught. One of the following cars got caught in the ensuing accident. I winced, knowing I'd hurt people. But they were faceless, so easier to set aside for the time being. The other car hopped the shoulder, sending snow, rock, and probably some of the pavement in the air behind it, but kept control as it bypassed the crashing cars. The car that had been next to me slowed to a more reasonable rate. Um, Speed. I don't know why I went with that. And then next to me, slow to more reasonable speed. There's the comma. Letting me catch up to it. I glanced at the map in my visor. My route was clear all the way to London. Show me all road condition, overhead view, I told it. Center on me, zoom to a radius of 5 kilometers. The next exit was for Route 33. It showed plenty of slow traffic, but at intersection, which would mean stoplights. Those would impede me as much as them. The next exit was for Highway 24, which moved smoothly. Extend radius 10 kilometers. Red appeared on a map on a ramp. Highway 8 was at a standstill all the way to the first exit. I smiled and sped up. This is why I drive a bike. The car couldn't get up to speed fast enough, so ended up behind me, but they were catching up as I weaved around the cars. Going closer to the speed limit. No, you don't need a coma. My two pursuers were good drivers, barely slowing down. This is where I wish our magic was more like that of the children of Merlin, with their fireballs and what have you. Or the 10 knives with their pre-written spells they can just pull out and activate. We have some of that. Society members have powers, and some can fling fire or lightning or storm in one case. And we do have the ability to write long-term magic, which is what lets my bike do some of what it does. But because of the ingredients, it can't just be on paper that I can pull out and power. The direct phrases, that's what we call our written magic, do stuff that has impressive effect. Our written magic, the stuff that has impressive effect, needs to be written on the spot, and that's not something I can do while driving, even if I have 3 pens ready to use. The stopped cars heading on the ramp became visible as I moved. Yeah. I'm not surprised. This is him commenting, and so it's in present, and I forgot to switch back to past as I went back to telling the story. All right. The stopped cars heading on the ramp became visible as I moved to the right. I moved right 1 lane. GPS programs with road condition and speed had one problem they've had for as long as they existed. They don't tell you how many of the lanes are slow when there's more than 1 lane. One of them. When there's more of one of them. It just says it's slow. The exit had 2 lanes, and only the far right one was stopped. The left lane slowed, but still moved. I was going to have to work with that. I got between both lanes without slowing, just to put distance between me and one car got Got on the left shoulder as it split from the highway, barely slowing. Forgot about the winter tires. The second had to slow, but followed the first car. I was still gaining, but a third lane got added at the merge, and that one was clear. Oof, man, that's a lot. My options were limited here. I slid. I slid in front of a car, avoiding looking at who was in it, and braked. Braking. They honked. And brake too. I braking. The act of braking. Brake. I braked. Oh. Brake. There, that's why. Okay. That's why I used the wrong spelling and braked too. Bracked? No, that doesn't look right. Braking. Brake. That's breaking, as in snapping something, right? Crack, disrupt. Wow, that's a lot of related words. And the brake on a car is this. Okay. Okay, so it is braked. Okay. That is how it's spelled. It looks really wrong to me. But they honked and braked too. Not hard enough to lose control, but the one behind them slid onto the shoulder, clipping the back of the first pursuer, but not taking them out. It did end up blocking the second car, so that was a win. And no one got hurt. Got in the left lane at the merge, just ahead of my pursuer, and poured on the speed. 110, 120, 125 kph. He was still with me. The coming exit told me I was in Kitchener. With both that and Waterloo ahead of me. Never heard of either cities. Really? Never heard of either city. Cities? That's for later. First, I needed to get rid of this car. The next exit went to city streets, which I didn't want. I didn't want to do. Not with him on my ass. The ramp after this one looked more promising. Highway 7, heading north. 8's ramp looked like it went west, with this road merging with King Street. Perfect. I sped up to 130 and wove. I suspect this is going to continue until I have an actual break in the storytelling. Wove around cars until I was in the right lane to get on 7. He did the same, picking up speed to catch up. I let him, accelerating a little only once. He was 20 feet behind me. That's actually okay. Yeah. This is my bias showing. I do a lot of stuff in kilometers and then I'll switch back to feet for little things. And actually, distances, short distance, I can't do in meters. I will do kilometers and stuff like that, but you talk around me around the house and I'm in feet. I let him, accelerating only a little once he was 10 meters behind me. I kept an eye on the car in my mirror and one on the coming split. The coming ramp wasn't that tight, but what I had planned was going to stress the magic on the bike. The split arrived with the crash barrels 10 feet 3 meters. After I raised the hand, flipped him the finger, and veered left into a car. And this is where I'm going to tighten it honked the telling slightly. It honked madly, but I was more focused on keeping control and then slamming my own brakes as the car ahead slowed to 60 to take their ramp. No way I can slow this fast. No way I could slow this fast. So I veered left again. Fortunately, that lane's wasn't busy, and I could calmly slow to 70, then 50 as I approached the light. Grabbed the next left and drove to the next. Oh no, I could grab. This is him looking at his option. I could grab the next left and drive. So this is drive to the next ramp, get back on the 8, and stay on secondary highways until I was further west. I could get to London that way, and from there I could pick the 401 or the 402. The wise plan was to get to the border as quickly as I could, and the safety of the United States. But that was basically what they'd expect me to do. Fuck wisdom. I drove through the light when it turned green. Local search, gay club. 3 results came back. Club Chroma has had the most stars, so I was going to start with that one. Oh, great, I did not switch back. For a place to stay, my options were a Marriott, a Walper Hotel, and a Crown Plaza. I was staying out of the Marriott. Chances were no Lewistons were working at this one. Looking at this one, there were too many Marriotts in the world, let alone the US. But my family and them have had a few run-ins. Because my dads sided with the Hertz during their dispute. All it took was one rat in that hotel being a Lewiston, and my stay would become a headache. The Walper felt older from their sight, so I picked it. Parked my bike and got a room. It also had the advantage of being a 15-minute walk from Club Chroma. I had dinner, showered, and headed to the club. Chroma is spread wide instead of high. The entry fee covered my first drink, which I made a Manhattan. The annoying thing to me is that I reread this last week, I think, and never caught on that this was present. Which I made a Manhattan. The music was the usual fare, which with the bass louder than it needed. But overall, at a reasonable level. Let's make this a semicolon. It's still early. It was early. So between dances, I chatted with the guys. They range from late teens to early 50s in appearance. Medical technologies, such it's getting tough to know older guys' age. And considering my dads look like they could be my older brothers, my sense of how old men are is skewed. From one of the older gentlemen, I find out Chroma used to be a social center. Found out. It used to be a social center for the gay community back in the early years of the century until the mid 40s when government support dried out. So they had to expand. They had to expand and turn into a club in the evening. It still does, still did, still did. Double duties, but now they reached out to any at risk community. The guy was a good dancer, if a little old style. Things picked up by 8, and I spent. I just switched back. Things picked up by 8, and I spent my night on the dance floor with stops for rehydration, bathroom, and the occasional fun. I'm never adverse to on the spot fun. You're gonna, well, make up your mind. I'm never. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm never averse on the spot fun. I ended up bringing Coley twins back to my room. Unlike what movies want you to think, twins who have sex together are not a common thing. So when I came across not only a pair of them, but that they were fun to talk with, I didn't let them go. Leon was a geek, knew everything about comic books and science fiction movies and TV. John was a nerd working in information infrastructure, which is fancy talk for building and maintaining computers. They kept sniping at each other about which one of them was the worst, reminding me of home a bit, but without the aggression. These two did it lovingly. One thing they did have in common was a fascination with magic. They read everything about it, even visited the Detroit Thinker Shrine once, although they were underwhelmed. I got that. Thinker magic isn't the most impressive unless you're the cerebral type, so I gave them a demonstration. I didn't use one of the pens. I took my ink at the source, wrote a phrase on their palm, and then we had a 12-hour marathon session. They even asked to be influenced when they worked out I was an Orr. Yeah, my family's mentioned in those books on magic. Quite a few times, too. We haven't always been on the right side of things. After a few hours of sleep, I left the twins in the bed to visit Kitchener. I was going to give McDonald's men a few days to get tired of looking for me and take advantage of the warm late February day to relax and do the tourist thing. I went to the Ken Selling Museum and got more historical information about the Waterloo region than that I even have on SFM. These people are serious about their history, with a recreated village with a mix with a recreated village that included a mix of live actors to speak with yeah, and interactive holographic projection explaining how life was back in the 18th and 19th century. I couldn't imagine living in those conditions. I walked through the University of Waterloo, which is a Waterloo, which is a sprawling, was, which was a sprawling complex. I don't have university level education. My dad's insisted we went to school, so we'd have a sense of what normal people were like. That had varying levels of success. Wolfgang had to be taken out of his after his third fight, where he hospitalized yet another bully. His nannies couldn't stick around close enough during class to keep him out of trouble. Not that I think they'd have stopped him. The bullies he targeted all went after girls. Wade stuck it through university, where he studied business administration with a specialization in the education system. He also played football. He loves the game, and his ability made him a master of it. He never admitted to doing it, but the Spartans haven't lost one championship since his first year there. The San Jose one, not Michigan. So we're pretty sure he spread his gift among the players ever since. The ratio of Spartan graduate in the NFL is way out of proportion. He's lucky the government isn't interested in regulating magic use in schools. Wade passed on the NFL to take over the education system in California. I dropped out after high school. School was rough on me. All those people, all those emotions. I had more than one breakdown there. Enough, I considered quitting, but my Orr pride wouldn't let me. My family already considered me weak and defective. I wasn't going to prove it. I wasn't going to prove it. I did find one of my coping systems there. Hang out with the people having the most fun. Parties are great because no one's busy feeling. I got away with it because of how easily I learned stuff thanks to Wade's gift. Thanks to Wade's gift. After that, I decided to walk through the downtown. After that, I walked through the downtown area since it was close by and to get my head out of my past. I definitely accomplished that. And that concludes Chapter 8 of Feeling the Way. If you're enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the story, it is available on my Patreon only. So for just $1, you can read this. Well, the rest of it. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. The links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.